All right, so the book is I think it is trolling people, but I'm very stubborn, so I had to finish it. But it's just very good prose. There's very funny moments to it. I played tennis, so I grew up playing tennis, so I really focused on that. Also, with my family, it also focuses on like addiction. That sort of rang a bell. So the movie was weird in that let's see, what's the word? And it's about movies and filmmaking. So it basically checked off everything on my list. And I'm stubborn, so I had to finish it.
Right.
Yeah. But, I mean, it trolls people, for sure.
Just like Jason X.
Well, yeah, I think so. Like the scene where that guy trolls Jason by calling him Slappy.
Which guy called him that?
The guy who has the bot.
Oh, right. The guy who owns KM.
He's like, hey, Slappy, I got a little something for you.
He felt particularly sci-fi original movie to me.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just now remembering, like, I don't know where you were in that year, and I'm certainly not going to date myself, but I remember ads on TV for this movie, and they were very heavy on using Let the Bodies Hit the Floor by Drowning Pool.
Oh, yeah, I was a senior. Oh, so depends when it came out in 2001. So I graduated, in June of 2001. So this movie came out I was working in a theater when this came out, when this was released. I was in a theater, so when did this was, April 26, 2002?
I mean, it sounds within reason.
But it says 2001 on IMDb.
I mean...
Oh, yeah, release date.
It's the difference between a pre and a post 9/11.
Wow. Oh, yeah, so April 26, 2002. So I was definitely working in a theater when this came out.
They let this movie come out in a post 9/11 America.
Yeah. And so I remember the theaters were really quiet around then. I remember, because I could use an entire trash can to clean a theater for the entire day. So no one went to this movie. It was in and out of theaters.
Right.
Yeah. But I do remember Drowning Pool, Let the Bodies Hit the Floor. That was pretty great. I loved it. I mean, sometimes you gotta let the bodies hit the floor. Have you ever hit a mosh pit before?
Yeah, I have been in a pit or two.
Yeah, that's right. I could see you in there. Punch dancing, hardcore music.
I mean, I usually just get thrown around. I don't really have much of a say in the matter.
But I don't know.
You just submit. You submit to the pit.
Yeah, submit to the pit. I got headbutted during a Disturbed concert one time. That put me...
that explains a lot.
Yeah. I mean, we both fell back. So the guy headbutted me and he hurt himself too. So I felt pretty good about myself. But I had to take a couple songs off. And I couldn't get them. Yeah, you're learning a lot, man. My Florida upbringings. Florida upbringings. Man. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. This movie, I love the nanobites. I love this, like, there's some really creepy scenes where there's that pilot who's being all shady. And he goes, female, yeah. Then he goes, I'm so lonely. Oh, that just,
That's classic, like, early aughts, self-deprecating humor. It doesn't really work anymore, but at the time it was like webcomic humor, right? Like, hee, I'm so lonely bullshit.
Now, I gotta say that Jason in this one is all business, and he is terrifying. He has chain skills in the beginning. I love when he throws the blade at, KM. He just drills her in the chest. She's trying to monologue, and KM, and he just throws the machete right into her. This guy does not mess around, and I like that about him. He really doesn't even play tricks in this movie. He just kills.
Yeah, I mean, this is like classic Kane Hodder, and it's kind of a bummer that it is, at least at the time of this recording, his last outing as Jason. He also kind of looks interesting in a few ways. In the beginning, which I actually really, really like not the cold opening, but the opening of the movie. And never mind the David Cronenberg cameo and all that, but if you look at him, his hockey mask is a little different. It's a little wider. It's got a little bit of a weird design, but the one thing that stuck out to me most, I don't know if you noticed it as well, is that Jason, over the course of these movies, has always had a little bit of a weird inconsistency with his hair, right? He's either bald or he's got strings and tufts. This opening, he's kind of got some white guy fro action going on, and it's a little funny because it's kind of gray and it's very soft in parts, and I just was like, huh. And I think the reason they do it, and you can give me your own theory, but I think the reason they're doing it is because they're trying to emphasize just how how potent his regenerative abilities are. They make several mentions of that, and I think they're just trying to say, like, hey, yeah, it's totally plausible that this guy's still trucking because he's got all this hair.
And I have in red right now, in all caps, all chained up with hair.
Yeah, and I love that he does the body swap and all that, but yeah, the one thing that stays with me in that scene, however menacing as it is that sort of silly hair.
Yeah, I just wrote, and then he also throws a heck of a spear.
Yeah, that's like a straight up javelin.
I loved it. And then also, the part that annoys me, when he gets out of there and we meet our kind of final girl in the beginning, a guy flies through a door and it has a shotgun on top of him and is bleeding. And a lady goes, "What happened?"
You're like, yeah, that's the question right now, not just run.
And I kind of say, hey, but then she did a good job though, man. I mean, she shot him into a storage container. Like, she didn't know he would, that machete could literally stab through steel.
Yeah, I like that actress a lot, Lexa Doig. I don't know how you pronounce that last name. Good. And I guess part of me is like, I sound like I hate her now, but she definitely fits that wheelhouse of like sci-fi original movie budget where she's like geeky attractive and caters to that audience. And come to find out upon like doing a little Googling, like she has made a career of like those types of roles. But yeah, she's really pretty, and she's one of those like, you know, tough final girl types who takes Jason to task. So she freezes him and breathes a sigh of relief, right? Because there's no way he's getting out of that. But sure enough, with his final act, he guts her through the door, which I have a hard time believing he could even do. I know he's a big, powerful guy, but we're talking about a machete that's kind of probably not going to stand up to the reinforced door, but what do I know?
And this is modern times, too.
Well, it's the future.
Yeah. So, is it a steel? Strong steel?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty hopeless feeling, right? Because we leave her with this accomplishment that she finally did him in, but she's trapped, right? She's going to live on in the future with him, and of course they're found out by the students and brought aboard the ship, and it's a classic case of Alien all over again.
Yeah, you're right. And they just kind of let him unthaw. And how about the girl that doesn't want to work with the second year students, and then the second year students come in to help while he's thawing and just start making out near the body?
Yeah, and normally you can probably just groan and roll your eyes at that, but I do think that is the writer-director's intent to be like, okay, well, Jason comes back for many number of reasons, but this one he's going to be resuscitated because he senses that kids are screwing around again, and that montage is what does it. He sits up like an ornery father who heard his daughter come home after midnight or something.
So he kind of reminds you of, that's a weird comparison. The Godzilla from the latest one, just a cranky monster that has to get up and fight monster, like a cranky thing that gets up and has to fight monsters, and then he goes back and takes naps. Are you saying that's what Jason is like?
I actually was gonna, I don't know, I think of Don't Wake Daddy, the board game. That's what I think of.
I've never even heard of that.
What?
I never really played board games.
I mean, as long as you were a child of the 90s, there was an ad for that damn game on like every kid's channel. It's this stupid board game where you walk around, you roll, you don't roll a dice, you have to like hit the alarm clock, and you better fucking pray that that's not going to wake Daddy. And Daddy sits up in his bed and he loses his nightcap. That's what I think of, because that's the way Kane Hodder's mannerisms work in those movies. He's very, I don't want to say not subtle, but he's jarring.
I had never heard of that game. I think you would be proud of me, because I had Hero Quest, the one where you had to fight goblins, and I had the other one with a huge map, and you had horses, and then you moved them around on the little octagons.
That sounds like every tabletop game ever.
No, but it was huge. It was like...
That sounds like every tabletop game ever. Risk?
No, there was a map. Like it was like a 4x4.
All right, well, I'll take your word for it. But that's what I think of when I see Jason come back to life upon sensing that the kids are up to no good again.
So, Don't Wake Daddy. I love that. And then all the while, poor Rowan is saying, wait, are you really unthawing this guy? Why did they unthaw him in the first place?
Yeah, I don't really know why they bothered to do that. I think the blonde hot scientist girl was like trying to get a sense of the scientific discovery, maybe, because she does take his eye out finally, his rotted eye.
Oh yeah, and she takes his mask out and she's like, oh, I see why you wore the mask.
Yeah, but I don't really know what was to be achieved by warming up his cadaver.
And she gets her face smashed.
Yeah, and that's more for us. That's a gift to us because it's a wonderful scene.
Now, I know Mythbusters did a part on that, but of course that wouldn't work. Are they just doing that for fun? Like, so when they said myth busted, I mean, it's not even a myth, right?
I don't know. I kind of thought it could be possible, maybe.
Oh, so I guess it was plausible enough.
Sorry, Mark. Some of us are dumb.
But in the Jason X world, it was possible.
In movies, anything is possible.
But it's a different world from our world. Vin Diesel can fall 80 feet and not break ribs because gravity. Or their bodies. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I sounded like the ICP guy talking about magnets.
How do they work?
Magnets. What's the deal with those? How about the giant screw death?
Oh, I hated that one.
Where he's spinning around? You didn't like that at all?
No, and I'll tell you why. It has nothing to do with the actual kill. I think it had everything to do with the follow-up punchline. Oh, right? It was like, oh, how's so-and-so? And she taps into her stupid mic and goes, he's screwed.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's bad.
That's lame as hell.
Yeah, that was bad.
Okay, put yourself in their position. You got an elite squad trying to hunt down a very hostile killer, and it's life and death. And there's kids on board, and this is your job. This is what you trained for. And you're dropping like flies. And your boss phones in and says, hey, how's your buddy doing? And you know that buddy's dead. Maybe you weren't friends with him. Maybe you were enemies. But you have the lacking discretion and unprofessionalism to say, he's screwed, because you think that's so clever and funny, and that like somehow provides levity to this situation.
Could she have said, he's dead, how do you want me to spin this?
I don't think there's a way to shut up. Shut up.
You almost bit. You
biting
like
my tongue. That's what I'm biting.
You like that? No? Not a fan?
Moving on.
All right, moving on. That one guy bragged during the thing that those two guys playing the video games that he was killed by Jason twice in the same movie. Did you like that scene where Jason killed the alien? How did Jason see the alien?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about the same thing because they have like headsets on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is a unique thing to be killed by Jason twice. So that guy's kind of lucky in that respect. I don't know how many other people got that. Unless you're like Shelley from Part 3, in which case you didn't really get killed by him the first time. You were just faking it. But yeah, that scene's kind of cool because it sort of leans in again to what I mentioned before, right? Which was the native environment and using those unique kills. And if you're taking Jason to space, you got to make him unique. And there's a sleeping bag scene in VR later on
that I love that
talk
scene.
About. But yeah, this one's fun because it does just that. It has fun with the environment. And I like that Todd Farmer, I believe that is the other guy who gets killed. And Todd Farmer is sort of a horror veteran type. I think he worked on My Bloody Valentine remake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know he had a spec script, I think, for Halloween 3D at some point, but not to get too far down that road. I did like that he had a bit in this movie.
Well, he wrote Jason X. He wrote the My Bloody Valentine remake. He did Messengers, the story, and then he did Drive Angry.
That's right. Drive Angry was, I think, the big one that they had.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it's a good idea.
I would have been very curious to see their version of Halloween 3D. Because I have no idea what that script looked like, and maybe I read it at some point.
Well, I'd like to hear that.
Yeah, and I would have been really curious as to, like, Todd Farmer's vision for the Halloween 3 script that he had put up, because that was supposed to come off the heels of Rob Zombie's first two. And I don't know if that would have, like, picked up that story or betrayed it or gone in a different direction or what, but it was supposed to be 3D.
Can I tell you something interesting?
I can't stop you.
All right, so Nick Cage wanted to be in Constantine, but he didn't get Constantine. So then he did Drive Angry, which is kind of Constantine.
Is it?
I mean, he's running away from hell. Hell's chasing him.
Is that why he's angry?
Yeah,
is that why he's driving angry?
He's angry, yeah. So he's like he's going out to stop all these evil people. So he is, I mean, I wonder if that was him doing that. What do you think?
I actually haven't seen it, but I know that movie performed semi-well.
Drive Angry?
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot it.
I mean, I guess that's like leaning into Nick Cage as a caricature, which I think is like super in vogue now in the